didn't he have some? It seems like there was some pedophile action. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it seems like wasn't there some stuff like
Oh,
that?
more pedophiles. It's just the pedophile hour. Jesus Christ. Remember, I remember when the internet was more than just pedophiles flinging pedophile accusations at each other. That's why we need to go to Web3, so we can just leave all this shit to all the pedophile people.
It
Get away
has
from it. How you
gotten
doing,
a
man?
little out of control. I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. What was that? Did you Photoshop that picture of PPP?
No, no, that was real.
Oh.
And like I said, the only thing I could think of was Worski had to have painted him like that.
What did he paint him with? A fucking he used the paintbrushes they used to paint the Brooklyn or the Golden Gate Bridge. What was that?
I don't know.
Using a scroller, like,
dude. That's all I could think of because he couldn't have done that on his own. And so that's all I
he'd
could
have
think
had
of.
a heart attack. He'd be so
Right.
exhausted from all that effort.
Well, how could you even
Can
get
you
to
pull
some of
up
those
the
areas?
McDonald's?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can you pull up the McDonald's pumpkin bucket that they used to give out? That's all I kept thinking
It does.
of that he was.
It does look like that. By the way, Ocean in the super chat says you should have played Armored Core 6. It's really fast paced and spastic, perfect for tards like me. You know what? I'll try to add that to the list. But yeah, I'll see if I can find the McDonald's bucket. That's all. Of course, this was all over my timeline last night, and I've really not been paying much attention to those guys. But it was kind of hard not to see that, and then that's all I could think.
Ralph, I think.
Yeah.
Something tells me that a lot of people haven't been paying attention if PPP's painting himself like the Great Pumpkin.
Well, I talked about this at the top of the show. They're literally, I was like, well, I've been eating sandwiches the last few days instead of tortas, and then some other idiot was like, Ralph can't even afford tortas now. I'm like, okay, they're getting pretty desperate if that's what they're if that's what they shifted to. They're getting pretty desperate. And then about me wanting a dog, and I even said that I would like to have a dog.
Are you
but
gonna
it's
eat
kind
the
of,
dog?
right?
Is that the plan? Is a torta a Mexican delicacy? That I've been Mexican my whole life, so I know that it's not. But do they know something that I don't know about Mexican tortas?
I don't know. It's not a delicacy. There's like 15 torta shops within, I don't know, a 1 mile radius of my house. And there's different varieties. Some of them are a little more splendid than others or whatever. But it's just a Mexican sandwich is all. Like, it's not that big
There
a deal.
There he is. At first I thought he was Satan, and I was like, wow, man, that's those nipples are fucked up. But then when you were talking about it, I saw that he was a pumpkin.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know. But yeah, maybe they got the spray, like whatever the spray painter, you know what I'm talking about, with the hose on it and sprayed him down like that. I'm not sure. I don't know.
What if that was the end? What if that was the guy that Linus was waiting for at the end of the Great Pumpkin? It's like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Snoopy was right. Fuck.
Plus,
the
it's
Great
like
Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, he's here.
But it's also October 4th or 3rd, I guess, yesterday when he did that. Like, wouldn't you want to save that? I'll pull it back up for people who didn't see at the top of the show. Wouldn't you want to save that for later in the month? I don't know. But
he blew his load.
Yeah, he blew his load early.
He blew his Halloween load all over the place.
I don't know. What are you gonna do for Halloween? Are you gonna do something like that? Can you out top this?
I don't know. My girlfriend texted me today. She's like, we should go as Indiana Jones and Lara Croft. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's. I was kind of thinking I would just paint myself orange. Don't you think that would be better than this? But then, and go naked. Don't you think that would be? And like paint my dick green. Do you think that would be better? And then you could go as Charlie Brown. That would be a better couple.
You got
costume.
scooped.
I didn't get a response on that. Yeah, I got scooped though. So
now, okay, let's go into the Eric July stuff. You're ruining his business, Dick. Why do you keep persisting in ruining his business?
No, I'm ruining his business.
He's not your partner. He's not your partner, that's for sure.
Yeah. When I hit my head, when I got thrown into that concrete at Netflix, did all the brain damage go to NULL or something?
You
And
know,
not to me. Did that happen?
so why don't you break it down? What happened with you and Null? I mean, I already know, but
I,
what was the falling out there?
I don't know. It sounds like okay. It's hard to piece together. It's honestly hard to piece together why Null like turns on people or gets upset with them. I don't know. He seems to be very upset with Nick right now, and I don't know why. Nick's always been nice to him. I don't know why. Like, it makes no sense for Null to just make enemies. He's one of the most hunted people around. He doesn't have many friends. Whatever. I think he got mad at me when Riley Null was calling Digibro a pedophile. Like, Null was saying Digibro is definitely gonna rape a kid. He's a pedophile. Blah 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 blah. Digibro used to call into my show all the time, or every once in a while, as people do. And Riley was a friend of Digibro, so Riley just started. Riley was a close friend of Digibro, so Riley said, "Oh, you call my friend a pedophile? All right, I'll start making fun of you." So Riley would just tease him in Discord all the time and say like, "Oh, you're a nerd. No one likes you." And Null took that personally, and I think he concocted this conspiracy where everyone was against him, and I was like directing Riley to tease him or something. That was the last I heard from him. Then the next time I heard from him, he was calling me like he's saying wild shit. I heard him say that I would sell my kids to Weinstein to get a TV deal, which, I mean, I don't know. Weinstein fucked women, not children, so I don't think that would do me any good. But I don't know. It's ever since then. Then it turned into something with Nick over Drexel. I think, honestly, I don't want to say it, but he seems just like, people are saying he sounds like a scorned ex, which is kind of weird, but I see what they're saying. And it continues. Now he's pissed at Vito. Now Vito's a pedophile. Everyone's a fucking pedophile who I happen to hang around with.
Now, yeah, and again, I kind of know some of the background. I didn't really see the falling out with REKIETA. I'm trying to be diplomatic too. He said some nice things about me or whatever, but trying to be diplomatic. But also we have to cover it, right? I have to talk to you about it. But what is the Vito? I know Vito catches a lot of heat. He made some jokes on Twitter or whatever, and they were a little off color, I guess you could say. But I mean,
man, I've made worse jokes than that. Like yesterday, it's like just because he's like a fat liberal, and they're like, "Oh yeah, let's fucking kill him." Yeah, he said "we." Like, oh yeah, really? Is that what the problem is? Vito said "we" one time. Okay, no, I guess none of you have ever made child rape jokes. Then cool, good for you.
I just know he catches a ton of heat, and I guess that's kind of how this Eric July thing started, wasn't it? With Vito.
Yeah, Vito said that Eric July's comic is sucks, and it's just like something that culture war, like people who are like obsessed with the culture war buy. And he's like Vito said he's only popular because he's a black Republican, so all the Republicans push him and shill his shitty product, and then his product sucks. And we all, me included, made fun of him for being jealous for like a year. And then I was on Nick REKIETA's show, and one of Eric's friends was busting my balls for not reading the comic. So I read it, and turns out it's just hot garbage. Turns out Vito was right, which is like the worst thing ever. And Eric, so I reviewed it normally, like just a normal review, and Eric fucking melted down. He's been melting down. He's been melting down ever since, because his entire life has been in this token. He's lived this like token luxury his entire life. He went to school on an athletic scholarship, so like, because he's black. And then after school, he starts giving these very like simplistic talking points about Republican politics, which of course they push him to the front of the blaze and push him to the front of the blaze because he's black. I'm like, we're not racist. Look, this black guy is saying all this conservative stuff. And then after that, he's like, well, I'm going to make a comic. There's a lot of money in comics. So, by the way, I have stolen the shit out of that blaxploitation music under his rants.
It's perfect, isn't it?
I try to give you credit. It's just so funny.
It just fits. I saw even the puppet show stole it too, which made me laugh even harder. it just fits so well, and it makes his rants more tolerable too. If I have a little blaxploitation music playing underneath, but yeah, it fits really well. Then there was one that was like, "Put your money where your mouth is." I'm just like, okay, this is getting too good. This is getting too good. They fit so well.
Because he can't fucking speak. Like he talks like he talks just in gibberish. Like he talks in like a mix of like just Ebonics and like Valley Girl. Like none of it makes any sense. You can pull maybe one thought out of a paragraph of his jabbering. Where was I? Oh yeah, so Eric then decides to sell a comic, and of course all these white comic guys are like, yeah, this black guy's he's saying that Black Spider-Man isn't really Spider-Man. Let's get him out in front of here and show everybody how not racist we are. Okay, but then it turns out his comic sucks. And they all have to keep defending it. Like all these guys have to keep defending his comic because they promoted it and suckered their audiences into blowing $35 on this shitty culture war book. So I think this is like the first time somebody white has ever said, hey, Eric, like, you're not any good. And of course, this caused an existential fucking meltdown on his behalf. It's the first time he's ever written anything. He didn't even bother to get like a story editor. He has no fucking idea what he's doing. The comic is total trash. His friends won't even read it because they know how bad it is, and they'll have to either put their reputations on defending shit or say it was bad and risk Eric July throwing a giant tantrum like he did with Nick Rekieta.
Well, so I don't understand why he's so angry. I mean, he's made a lot of money. I guess he just can't stand it, right? Like
socioeconomic reasons. That's why he's so angry.
But this doesn't make sense to me. It's like, dude, this is going on, I don't know, what, like 6-8 months now? It's been most of the year. And the Riley thing just sent him over the edge. By the way, you didn't send Riley to do that, for the record, right? I mean, you don't have to tell him.
No, because I never would have thought that Eric would react like this. Riley told me about that bit, and I was like, okay, well, I mean, whatever. That sounds like it'll be kind of dumb. Like, it sounds cute, but dumb. By the way, you can definitely go to people's industrial warehouse and knock on their door. Anyone who doesn't believe that's fucking retarded. You definitely can't. You can't shoot somebody for showing up at your business and knocking on the fucking door.
What's crazy? He wants to shoot him, and then you see his fans, and they're like bloodthirsty. They want to shoot this guy, and you can't just shoot somebody for coming up and knocking on your door. You have to fear. I mean, look, I'm not a lawyer, but I said the same thing REKIETA did. It's like, okay, I know a little bit, right? You have to have, imminent threat, right, or imminent fear of bodily harm and all this stuff. Even in Texas, he's like, well, we don't play this in Texas. It's like, okay, well, there's still a law, right? You can't just shoot somebody dead.
It's not Somalia, bro. You can't just do whatever you want. If there's two people I'll trust on the law, it's Nick Rekieta and Ralph. I'd probably trust them equally on the law, actually. By the way, no, you know what, Ralph? Let me ask you this. So I think when I hear you say the N-word, I believe it. Whenever I hear Eric July call people the N-word, which he does all the time, I don't believe it. I think he's putting on, I think he's doing blackface to make himself seem more black to his white fans.
It feels like that, doesn't it? Now, I'm from Memphis, of course, and that word was used all soft A. But I heard the other version too, plenty of times where I'm from. But it rolls off my tongue because I grew up saying that, right? Like I don't have to put on an affectation, but he does. And I didn't know that he was part of a homosexual dance troupe allegedly, or whatever was going on. He was a break dancer.
That's pretty weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see those moves he's doing with his red sauce being silly? Ooh.
This, and then he was getting down low with whatever that was. He doesn't really highlight that chapter of his career very much, I don't think. But he was in this is the name of the movie. It's not me saying this, but Fagbug Nation. I don't know if you saw that as well. It was pretty.
I heard about that, and he said he saw that car and he was gonna go over and smash its windows or flip over the table they were at or something. And I was like, wow, that's a little bit. That's a little extreme. Some kind of moment he was having. I don't know what to call it.
Kind of a strong reaction, unless you're compensating for something there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a hate crime, bro. You can't smash in the windows of the bag bug or whatever it was. You're gonna lose your scholarship, bro. That's how athletic scholarships get taken away, bro.
Trying out for a scholarship.
Yeah.
That line's
right. Like he's just like he's he's just enjoyed this this bubble of like low expectations his whole life and been given free shit by white people.
Well, I didn't realize how
Um,
many, money men were behind this. I didn't realize the Blaze had put money behind this and people behind this. And then when he put out that video about, he acted like he was going to sue you and Vito for what? I don't know. But, and
yeah,
it got all this attention, and quartering was like, anything you need, brother, anything, whatever it was. He said, anything you need, I'm there. And all these people just falling
yeah.
all over
Quartering
themselves.
flipped the chair around.
Yeah, he
Quartering
did.
pulled up his chair and flipped it around. Like, yo, brother, you and me go way back. We're both athletes and creators, of sorts. We're both fighting the system, right? Your comic book sucks. Rumble sucks. Let's team up against Dick and Vito.
Like Michelle
Ralph,
Pfeiffer in
Ralph,
Gangster's Paradise. Yeah, go.
Ralph, I'm attacking their business. What the fuck are they? What is attacking a business? What the fuck are these morons even talking about? Attacking a fucking business. Oh, guess what? I hate a lot of businesses. I hope they all go under. Chase Bank. I fucking hate Chase Bank. Don't use Chase Bank, Ralph. I use Chase Bank, but don't fucking use Chase Bank. Drive them out of fucking business. Don't watch Disney movies, Ralph. Don't go to McDonald's, Ralph. I'm going after their business. What the fuck are these guys talking about?
Well, their whole stock and trade is going after businesses, right? Especially the quartering. Like, how many videos has he done on, Marvel and all this stuff? Well, I mean, that's going after somebody's business. And if you want to, further the analogy, going after streamers, right? Like, if you're talking about, that's my business too, right? Like, okay, well, you're attacking my business when you're attacking, if you go by that train of thought, right?
Dude, all of Kiwi Farms hunted Keffels to another country. They lost that war, but they still tried to do it. I mean, it's fucking. They're such pearl grabbing little pussies all of a sudden because NULL has a hard on for Nick REKIETA. I don't even know why. Like, I don't know why he's compulsively siding with Eric July on this. So, someone who is objectively a gibbering moron. Like, nobody can make sense of what Eric July says half the time. He's a fucking idiot. I don't know why anyone would defend that. It's hilarious to watch him flip out.
He's so dumb. And he said the word polymath. I don't know if you heard him say this.
Yes, yeah, play it. Can you play it?
I'll see if I can find it. I have it somewhere.
Stupid comic book.
Polymath is the word, by the way. But I saw him. I didn't understand what he was saying at first, and I was like, "Oh, he means polymath." Yeah, okay. Polymath. He really is just that dim, and nobody made him get on REKIETA's stream. He forced his way on after he'd already talked shit about REKIETA, and REKIETA was kind of nice to him, really, and to a certain point, right? And he's the one who forced his way on there to look even more retarded. So why should you feel sorry for him?
So I went on after Eric forced his way on REKIETA's show, and of course Eric's got a ton of fans, so they're all like, they're badgering Nick and being a cocksucker to him, like, you tricked him to sound like a fucking moron because you're a lawyer and you're schooled in making someone look dumb as fuck. Like, well, lawyers don't always make everyone look dumb as fuck. So Nick sent me a link. He's like, here, if you want to get interrogated. I came on the next day in a stream that is now deleted. And I said, Nick, like, you and everybody who talks to Eric, you speak to him like he's a developmentally disabled child. Like, you pause, you use small words, you don't speak naturally. Like, all of you know what I'm saying, that he's fucking dumb. When you speak to me or other streamers, you speak normally. You don't, like, it's, I mean, I can't even draw a metaphor of comparison because it's racist. What you guys are doing is fucking weird. How does nobody see it but me?
Well, he's that dumb. I mean, you kind of have to talk to him like that. And anytime I guess his scripted video, so I watched his moving different. He's moving differently now, Dick. I watched that video last week.
He's got armed guards in his warehouse full of no comics that nobody wants.
Yeah, but I saw it and it was like, well, at least he makes a little more sense. Now, I don't know how many cuts it took for him to actually make sense there, but whenever he talks live, just off the cuff, he says all these words that he doesn't really know what they mean or how to pronounce them, and then it's like the syntax, he just, I don't know, it's all over the place. Like, it's actually hard to understand. Yeah, it's literally hard to understand.
He went to college?
Well, I heard that allegation. I don't want to get sued by this fucker, but I heard that he may have lied about some of his collegiate accolades there at Texas A&M and some other stuff. I heard somebody called them up and they said, no, he didn't graduate. So he supposedly has a communications degree. Which is,
Oh yeah, I called him up and they said that he didn't graduate because he failed out of retard class.
Man, I don't even understand. I said this on the show. He made all this money. How did this even happen? Were they just looking for, somebody to prop up who was black? Like, I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it seems like that's the case.
Yeah, I think that all of these guys thought that because they're used to funding these comics that are made by comic creators that got kicked out of the industry. Like Ethan Van Sciver's incredible talent.
Yeah.
So he made a comic book, and then everyone backed it. Doug TenNapel, incredible talent. And then I think they just kind of assumed that Eric July, huge star, came out, is doing a comic. They just kind of assumed that the quality was guaranteed, but it's horrible. Guys who've been creative in Hollywood their whole lives know how to take criticism. Like they don't have their identity and their ego tied into their artwork. And Eric doesn't, like, because he's never written anything in his life. So I think there's it's like the perfect storm. It's perfect storm for me to come along and just start fucking with somebody.
Well, he's too emotionally attached to the character because it's like a stand-in for him, basically, right? And
Yeah.
so, and even so, like you said, people who've put out a lot of stuff or written stuff, and it's like, well, you kind of just got to take the criticism with the praise, right? Like that's how it goes. And maybe work on getting, maybe a lot of times it's like, okay, they have a point with what they're saying. Think about that for the next time you write something, right? It's not, they're haters, but it's also like, well, sometimes the haters got a good point, right? Like, okay.
Yeah, yes.
Right? It's like, okay, I'll take some
Yeah.
notes. I'll take some notes and do better next time. Now, he didn't do that with Isom 2, from what I've been told.
Wait, Ralph, do you remember the very first Killstream when me and Dame Pesos came on the stream afterwards, like the next day?
Yeah, I do.
And you said, well, yeah, I got to ignore the haters. I said, well, don't ignore all of them.
Some of them had a point or two that maybe I should have taken to heart. Sometimes it is like, it's like, okay, that person, maybe they don't like you, but they said something that's true, right? Like, okay, let's take note of that.
Yeah.
And I've had starts and stops on that front, but and again, I know how it can go, and you get into the spiral, and you just feel like you got to respond to everything, but you really don't, and nobody's making you do that except yourself, right? Just stop. And he just won't
definitely
stop.
Don't go on Nick REKIETA's show, and when he begs you not to talk about your charity shenanigans, don't steamroll over him and start quoting figures off the top of your head that make it look like you're running a giant fucking scam.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to move on to that too. So the charity aspect. Now, I don't think too many people think he's going to be, fucked over super hard from that necessarily. Or, I mean, could be, right? But it's more of just, you're obviously fucking up by volunteering this information. And he says that it costs 17 to deliver, and then he said, well, no, actually it's 13, and then he's got a promo code where you can buy it for $5. Right.
I guess he's losing $12 out of to fulfill those orders.
Right, and of course he's not. So, like, if you're willing to sell it for $5, but you're charging people who are donating to charity 17, why did he just give some Isom comics to this charity? Now, it turns out the charity, I didn't know this at first, but they give comics to, like, kids who are sick or dying or whatever. Not necessarily the greatest charity ever. No offense to the charity.
Yeah.
Maybe fundraise for their treatment or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. But okay.
What did they go with what was yours? St. John's or whatever the fuck
St.
that
Jude's,
was?
Yeah.
St. Jude's?
Yeah. A comic, maybe they would prefer a new lease on life. I don't know. But here, take this shitty comic and read this, kid, while you're dying. Okay, well, whatever. But that's the charity. He could have just given some of the comics to them. He could have just given them money, right? Like, my thought process is he was trying to.
Guy said.
Is it what he say? No, go ahead. You go ahead. What did he say?
So all this shit started when Eric started threatening to sue me, like every libertarian ANCAP does. The first time they're getting teased on the internet is they're like, oh yeah, well I'm gonna sue you. Okay. One of my fans wrote to the charity asking if Eric did have a relationship with them and if he was giving them money, because like only a complete stupid moron would think a $17 comic book is how much it costs to give a comic book to charity. Like it's $2 to make it. I mean, how if you ask anybody on the street, hey, how much does it cost to make a comic? Then you're like, I don't know, $2, $3. So you get a bunch of charity comics together, put them on a big pallet, and then ship them the pallet for like $200. I know how much freight costs. It doesn't. The guys driving trucks all over the country aren't billionaires. Like it's not very expensive to ship pallets around.
Palletizing.
So we started asking questions like, okay, so what's Eric giving you? Is he giving you money on top of the comics? And the guy said, we'd much rather have money. I have shitloads of comics, but I don't have money to ship them to like the cancer kids and the military guys that need them, which should be obvious. Like all of this shit, there's billions of comics in the world that are great, like old comics, boxes full of them in storage and that people just want to get rid of. Of course they need money more. So I started raising a stink about it, and all of a sudden Eric gave him $8,000, which I said, okay, I mean, that's good, but is that 8,000 because of me? Because it kind of fucking seems like it. Can you produce any emails saying that this deal existed before me? And then he threatened to sue me. So I was like, okay, so it seems like this is because of me. Actually, 8,000 isn't enough. You should be giving them the total amount of money. Like, fuck this. You need overhead shit. So really, I'm left with the impression of he needed a bunch of cash, which happens all the time. Like, people get over their head in buying warehouses and buying forklifts and making animations and pretending to be a big comic tycoon. They lose a bunch of money. I mean, it's like a lottery. Like, look, I don't have to explain how an idiot could waste a bunch of money. And you need a couple grand real fast. Well, where do you think it's going to come from? You got to gin it up out of thin air somehow. So I don't know. Like, this is just something that it looks like it makes sense that way to me. It's something that happens all the time, like little scum fuck moves to pocket a couple grand that no one's ever going to call out because the charity gets a little bit of money. It's fine. And his fans are too stupid to care. But that's what it looks like to me happened. He's free to dispute this with receipts and facts and statements, but he has.
Well, and I saw people, and I won't name any names, but they're like, "Oh, it's a couple comics." Well, look, he said it was over 1,000 comics that he sold. So it's twofold. First off, I think he wants the money, but second off, I think he wants to boost his numbers as well, so he can add that into the sold total. And he likes to talk about he sold more than Marvel copy or whatever. So I think it's for that, but also, it's not just a couple comics, and you multiply that times 17. Well, it's $17,000, right? And
yeah,
a
lot of money.
Right, that's a good chunk of change. It's not just a couple comics. And he already had the comics. He could just, like you said, take the couple $100 hit and send them over. Or, better yet, just say, here's a great charity. I'm a comic book guy, and the success of Isom. Let's give back. Here's this great charity. Here's their, method of donating, whatever you want to say.
Here, white people have been giving me money my whole life. I'm going to give some money back to white people.
Right? Well, he still would have got the... people like it when you donate to charity, mostly. It's like, okay, that's good. Eric July's a good guy. He's helping this charity. But he wouldn't have got the money, and he wouldn't have got the extra sold total there. So I think that's why he didn't do that. And it was something that he was looking for, right? Like, just a little...
Man, I don't know why people are busting my balls on this at all. Are you kidding me? If Marvel or what's that bitch's name that they all hate, Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
With the feet? What's her name? If any of these motherfuckers tried to do something like this and then got on the internet and a bunch of mumble mouth goop fuckery came out of their mouth when they're explaining it, they'd have 10 videos about it by noon.
Well, they do. I mean, Quartering is the one that just astonished me. I'm not gonna lie. It's Brie Larson. That's her name, by the way.
Brie Larson, yeah.
He's done, I don't know, 200 videos on her or more, and they've all done this woke shit. And sometimes we've covered it or whatever. But honestly, I'm just over that. I don't really care what they're doing, right? It better be something really crazy. I just don't feel like arguing over The Little Mermaid and fucking Marvel. Yeah. It's like, whatever. Like, who cares?
Mermaid is black.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Bambi's gay. Yeah, Bambi's always been gay, bro.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
gotta like
There's
the economy. Tell me about that.
just a lot more important shit going on. It's not that we wouldn't cover if it's something like really outrageous, but I just don't. It doesn't get my goat. And then the quartering, who's made a career off of this, just gets so up and basically turn on you. I'm not trying to get you to go in on him harder than you have, but like I
No,
saw
I
that.
saw it. It pissed me off.
Yeah, well, I saw it and I was like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck? Did you see this?" Right? Like, what? And you know, you've been nice to him, had him on the show, and you know, he just like did a 180 out of nowhere because that's where the grifting was going, and he could have just stayed out of it, right? Like, I don't know. I was taken aback a little bit, even for quartering, when I
I
saw
don't know
that.
why. I don't know why Null can't understand why this is funny. This is an entire industry of phonies and grifters that have like exposed themselves because of me making fun of one guy. Like, I mean, this is like Dr. Phil, but against. No, fucking Dr. Phil was a Republican too. It's like Dr. Phil against comic book nerds. I don't know how he needs it. I don't know why he needs it explained to him over and over again. But it's definitely funny.
When you've seen the dominoes fall, and it gets worse and worse the further along it goes. But you know, you've seen the dom. There are a couple exceptions. I think Van Sciver's been pretty honest with you know what he's been saying.
He's
And
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there are some exceptions there. I don't want to say everybody, but for the most part, everybody. And you see him, you know, just get so worked up. Yellow Flash, I know that's one of your favorite guys,
Oh yeah.
and he's just like,
Old come ears.
what is his problem? I mean, he's like maybe one of the most flagrant, and you know, he's really been out of shape about Vito, but he's been out of shape about this Eric July stuff, and it's clearly just I don't know, it's just performative for so many of these people, right? Like, it's not even, you can't even take it at face value. They're just out there, they stay in a circle and they all promote each other's stuff and they all get the same pile of money, and it's very obvious to see, right? Like, it's not on the up and up.
Yeah, Eric July's like the Jesse Jackson of comics now. Like all these white people have to come like kiss his ass to get their own shitty comics sold to his dumb fuck Findom pigs.
Dude, that Chuck
It's
Dixon
been
part of
so
that,
funny.
the Chuck Dixon part of that puppet video yesterday just had me dying. Holy fuck. It was so good. There's so much original content coming out of this stuff too, right? Like,
I know it's like Maddox all over again. All of a sudden, all the really smart, talented people are like, "Oh, I see what's going on here. Let me make some content around this." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what happens when you really got something everybody fucking hates, and you can finally expose it."
yeah, everybody's seeing it. And
I love this.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I love this business thing. I saw Null. He's like, "Oh, you're maliciously going after his." Hey, do you think Null has an effect on his voice to make it sound deeper on the show that he's doing?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I do know that voice
Maybe
meter and
chat
stuff like
does.
that will do that, but
It sounds. I haven't listened to him in a long time, but his voice just sounds different now. I don't know why. Anyway, um, fuck. What was I? Oh yeah, this whole maliciously going after his business. Like, guys, his quote unquote business is making a comic book. Like, there is no going after a business. It's a guy who's making a comic book. There's no business other than that. You can't maliciously go after a business by saying someone's comic book is terrible. You retards.
well, it's like saying a movie's terrible or a book's terrible or like all these fuckers do every single day, right? Like, it's like it doesn't make it.
Yeah.
Now, if you like literally sabotage, you know, and like called up his supplier and was like giving him wrong information or something, I mean, okay, yeah, I guess I could see that.
Yeah, if I had like a train robbery and I
Yeah,
robbed all of his incoming comic books before they
yeah,
had to be sold. Yeah, I guess.
that would
Yeah.
be fucking
That would
with his
be other
business.
crimes.
Yes, plus several other felonies, right? Yeah,
Train robbery.
it's just bizarre. And again, by that logic, you know, you're fucking with anybody's business whenever you talk bad about them online, right? Like, because okay, well, they're a public persona and you're fucking with their business. And then I saw someone posit that you were trying to get sued by Eric July. Are you trying to get sued by him? I don't really know how you could, but
Man, at this point, I think he will. I think that would be the ultimate irony. A Texas ANCAP guy trying to sue, getting ass fucked by a California court. Like, California is very protective over speech. more so than any other state. So that would be a very ironic conclusion to this story. Another Black Maddox lawsuit 2.0.
Well, I've seen some ironic things
don't-
happen in California courts myself, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know how you. Well, I guess it's like watching people say that. Like you can it's kind of a tell in their mind for like what they think of me. Like they think I have so much power over this domain that I can like beguile someone into doing a lawsuit, which costs $100,000, and it has to go through like multiple lawyers who've been doing it for decades. Like it's not just something that happens easily, but in their minds, this is something that I can just conjure up by making fun of someone. It's really funny when you take a step back and look at these preposterous things they're saying.
Well, and then he tried to say, well, I didn't say they did it. He was just flat out lying in parts of that REKIETA stream. He's like, well, I didn't say they did it. And I don't know. It was just a really bad showing. And we watched the whole thing, and I can't see anybody watches that and says, you know what, I'm on Team Eric July. Unless they have a financial motive, right? Okay, then I understand. It's like, it's about money for, courting some of these other people. But, or maybe they just don't like you. I guess that could be it too, right? Like they're just gonna take
that could be part of it.
The opposite side, but it was just mental. Now let's see if chat's got any questions. Submit them in. I'm trying to think of anything else on the Eric July front. Where maybe a lawsuit. I mean, honestly, that'd be good for you. I do agree with that part. Like you'll just make more money if he did sue you. So. That part of the analysis I actually agree with. So, we'll see if anything comes. I mean, what is he got to lose? I guess at this point he's all in on this narrative. So maybe. Now, what about the show this past weekend? And you can super chat in questions too if you want. What about the show this past weekend? How did that go? I was gonna go, but it was such a hassle, and I got so much stuff going on.
I kept thinking you might show up at the last minute.
I looked at flights even that Saturday. One would have got in at like 5:30. And I was thinking about it, but I was like, nah, I'll save it. I will come out that way sometime though. But how did it go?
It was great. Vito missed his weigh-in. He's trying to lose. He's in a weight loss contest, and he missed his weigh-in by a lot. So that was funny.
Vito needs to get on the torta diet. That's what I was telling him.
He needs to get on the stop drinking Mountain Dew for breakfast diet.
Yeah, he's a little ways off. What was the goal, and what did he weigh in at?
Well, he was supposed to lose. I think he was supposed to lose 6 pounds, and he ended up gaining 10. I think I gotta go consult the tapes, but he gained a lot.
Yeah, that's not good. I lost 6 pounds last week. I shouldn't brag. It's been melting off.
What are you down to?
I was 190.9 this morning. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Shit, you weigh less than me. I'm now the fattest.
Yeah, well, you're taller though. But I'm getting there. I want to get down to about 160. Now that's pretty low. But I'm just overweight now, so I'm not obese anymore. Yeah. So I was monitoring that. Yeah. But what all else happened? I saw you gave Riley the Employee of the Month. I'm sure that'll tamp down the outrage.
Ralph, that's malicious. I mean, you don't understand how many felonies I'm breaking by giving that plaque to Riley. That's an accredited Employee of the Month. I fully endorse Riley's antics for the Clippers.
I saw his mint salad also blowing up. I didn't see her appearance on your show last week, but she's been blowing up a lot recently.
Pull up her on my show. Her tits look enormous. It's amazing.
They are gigantic.
See if I can get it.
Yeah.
Whew.
Let me see if I can.
I'm trying to get Riley killed so I can move in on those tits.
Let me see if I can.
I'm playing 3 double G chess. Yeah. Here, I'll send it to you right now.
Okay, you're gonna send it to me.
When did everyone turn into such a bitch where they're like showing up at somebody's business? It's like a crime, and you're getting shot, and like teasing somebody's comic book is like all this retarded pretend legal shit.
It's crazy, dude. Let's see. Okay, I copied it. I'll send it to myself over here. Now, also, and I'll pull that up in a second, but what about the guy who got stabbed in New York the other day? The Antifa guy who got stabbed in New York.
Wasn't that great? I've been watching that all over and over.
I saw people giving you shit over it because they're like, you're celebrating too much. And you know what's funny is we had the So the original footage, I guess, was obtained by the New York Post or whatever, and they cut out the part where he actually gets stabbed, and they cut out the part where he trips over himself, literally. Well, he doesn't trip over himself; he trips over the bench that you rightly point out that they had changed it so that so people can't lay down on it, basically. So
Yeah.
your reaction to that? I've been following that on Twitter. And I'm trying to send myself this link. I don't know why it's not going.
Yeah, it's like these progressive shitbags. Like they make minorities poor, like with their policies, okay, and then they also make it so you can't arrest them, okay. So then they also build them like a bus system so they can drive around to buy weed or whatever, not go to work, like okay. And then they also put these like spikes and shit on the bus bench so homeless people can't even lie down on them because God forbid a homeless person like lies down on anything but concrete. And then this jackass, this Antifa guy, finds out that his hood whispering shit doesn't work. So he turns around and tries to run and immediately trips over a bench and hits his stomach and his face on the defensive architecture, probably winding him definitely, and probably knocking him out or dazing him. So then the guy, then the guy jumps on him and stabs him. Like the guy probably wouldn't have stabbed him if it wasn't for that split second of weakness from all of his retarded policies.
Well, and he just
Great.
So first off, this guy sought out the confrontation as well. Jesus Christ, there's Mint Salad on the on the stream there. I don't know if the chat can see that or not. Yeah, that's she can throw a punch too for those. For those who don't know.
Put your tits into it. Not your hips into it. Put those tits into it. Wham!
No wonder she can throw such a haymaker. But but for those who don't know about the well, I lost my train of thought there. I sound like Eric July. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, okay. So the guy walks up to he could have just let this guy alone. He was over there ranting about, I don't know, some schizo shit or whatever, and I think he was like kicking a garbage can or some shit. So this Antifa guy decides to go up and think it's a good idea to start talking to him. Now I saw you were going to write a guide for how to walk through the ghetto. This is how not to walk through the ghetto. If you're a white guy, liberal in a suit, and you decide to go and interfere with the mentally disturbed person clearly having an episode, like maybe back off. Don't do that. And then he falls.
You got the wrong shoes for this kind of encounter,
right,
buddy.
Yeah, this is not
dress shoes.
This is not good. And then he falls and trips over the bench, and he's just laying there with his chest exposed, and the guy just stabs him like 8 times in the chest. Then what about his girlfriend? His girlfriend didn't seem to give a fuck. And then she wouldn't even because she's one of these Antifa types as well. She wouldn't even describe the killer to the police. Now they have pictures of him all over the place now, but is that a W or an L for women? Yeah, go ahead.
That's and you know, well, the only part that at the end of the video too, then the girl, this black girl, randomly walks in and she goes, "Follow that guy." Like, what? Why did you tell? Why did you just tell a black woman to follow an unhinged murderer
who just killed somebody in front of you? You don't follow that guy, actually.
Do not follow that guy. Like, why follow him if you're not going to even give a description of what he looks like to the police, you fucking cunt? What was the point of that?
She does follow him too, which I don't know what happened to her, but like
I got to write a guide for black people too. Hey, look, if a white person tells you to do anything, don't.
It was bizarre all the way around. And then the media, of course, said, we don't have a description of him. It's like, okay, well, he's on footage like right here. I have a description of him.
All right, well, go out and start arresting people and see if you find them.
I don't know. Just bizarre. Let me see. I think I'm trying to think of what else you've been talking about. We covered most of the stuff, though. What do you got cooking up on the Dick Show coming up?
Fuck, I don't know. It takes me a little bit longer to recover from these live shows than it used to. I might have some big backfire news coming up soon. We've been working on that behind the scenes a lot. But you know, I'll post it when it's in. I don't really like hinting around news too much.
Yeah, It always bites me in the ass whenever I do that. So I've tried to stop. You know, they've taken to contacting. They've done this for a couple years, but they've taken to trying to pressure guests off the show now, like really hardcore. Now, obviously, I wasn't worried about them doing that to you, but that's why I haven't been announcing my guests for the most part, unless I know they're super solid, because they send them emails. They try to brigade them on Twitter, and Ralph did this and that. He had a falling out with this person and that person. So yeah, I've had to get a little more crafty there. It hurts the hype, but it's kind of necessary these days. But yeah, man, I appreciate you
Are these
coming
guys
on.
crying about Eric July's life ruination? The ones that are doing that?
No, of course not. Of course not. For the
No,
most part,
they're
they
different.
support Eric July, which I don't know if that's just like I said, because they don't like me or you or REKIETA or what. But I just honestly don't see how you can support this guy if you have a couple brain cells. But they do.
I don't. You know what? I don't. I do want to say I don't have any hard feelings to NULL. I don't give a shit about it. I really don't give a shit about any of this. People are gonna think that's like he doth complain too much, but it's just like after Dr. Phil, there's like 61 million people. You know, I don't really give a shit about a couple thousand retards that are telling me I'm going to prison. I wish NULL would stop pretending that he's medically diagnosing people with like alcoholism and brain holes and all this weird shit. I have not heard him get facts correct for a long time, and he's only getting worse. So just take a second, man. Your forum's gassing you up. I've seen it happen a lot. It happened to fucking Low Tax. Pump the brakes on this shit. Nick's a good guy. He's always been in your corner. There's no reason to fight with him. I don't care. I know NULL will never be okay with me because he's insisting to his audience insanely that Vito is a legitimate pedophile with zero evidence. But at least be cool with Nick. The fight you guys are having is retarded. And I think NULL and Nick are closer. Like you and I are closer.
Yeah.
In personality. I think NULL and Nick are very close in personality, and that's kind of driving this like familiarity and this sort of like resentment that's brewing. I think that's part of it. But I think NULL should knock it off and stop picking on Nick.
Well, I said this at the top of the show. It would be great if we could just roll it back to like February 2020. In a lot of regards for me, if we could just me wake up tomorrow and it'd be February 2020, and I just know even like 20% of what's happened since, not even the whole deal. I'm thinking that I could really make a path. But, we all used to be good friends, and the internet tears people apart. But me and you are still good friends, so that's good. Promote your
rates back. Patreon.com/Dick Show. Yeah, see you guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, man. Dick Masterson here on the Killstream. Round of applause.
Thank you for watching this clip. This is the CACA Welfare. Remember to like and subscribe.